Morning.
Hi, Gene.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I love that photo of your puppy.
Morning. Yeah, that's my baby.
Hi, Gene.
Good morning.
Sorry, I've got.
Yes, I hear you. Can you hear me? Yes.
I've got too many computers running at the same time over here.
Yeah, it must be pretty early there. Yes.
No, I live in the Mayan Riviera. I'm on CDT.
Oh, I thought you're in Hawaii.
I was at one time.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It is noon here, and I live in Playa del Carmen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know where that is. I've been there.
Yes, yes. I've been here for a few years now, over 3 years.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much. Well, let me just turn my camera on here um, so we can
You look
connect.
Mayan.
Sorry?
You look Mayan.
Well, yes, the Mayans are originally Lemurian, so we are very close,
Yeah.
you know.
Def-
Um, absolutely. Um, they don't mind me so much around here too. I'm like a big version of the Mayans.
yeah, exactly.
You know, I asked the elder, the Mayan elder, one time. I said, he asked me, he said, where are you from? And I said to him, do you remember when the Mayans were tall? And he looked at me and he said, he got upset at the Spanish. He was blaming the Spanish. And I said, no, I said, it's before even the pyramids. And he said to me, they don't remember, they know, but they don't remember directly. And I said, well, we are still here. That's what I said to him.
Yeah. Some, a lot left.
Well, he cried. He had tears. He had tears from this. He has the feelings, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So how
so,
tall are you?
oh, I'm only 6 foot.
Oh, okay.
Um, but my family members are 6'10", 6'9".
Wow.
Most of the Maori. I'm Maori from New Zealand. So, uh, you know, the Polynesians, the Lemurians, we're quite tall.
Yeah.
That's before Germany went to Samoa, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let me just formally welcome you and thank you, Gene, for being here, for contributing your contributions to this planet of new light. Yeah, we've been following you. I've been following along with you through others who we are both associated with. And so I'm honored that you take this moment with me, with myself and all those who are following the House of Huna as well. And we are the House of Huna is in 29 countries, meaning these are individuals who work with the tools and the modalities that I share with them from Lemuria to do the energetic work on the planet and for healing work for the physical body and the non-physical. And so we've all been following you. Everybody is so excited that we're able, that you said yes to doing this. And so I'm so grateful and honored. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I never asked, and maybe I missed it, but where you're in the Mountain Daylight Time.
Yes.
Would you mind sharing exactly, or is that a secret exactly where?
Oh, I guess I can say I'm in the Rocky Mountain Range area.
Oh, nice. So you're familiar with the crow's nest thing?
Yes.
through Montana to Calgary.
Yeah.
I see. I see. I had a curiosity. The last piece that I had seen you do, and you were talking to, forget who it was, sorry, you were talking about the Netherlands, and you were sharing about the Netherlands. I've been to Netherlands a lot. I'm going to be in the Netherlands next month. In Europe, I'll be again in Europe a lot, doing these works. And I have members from the House of Huna that are from the Netherlands and Belgium, all across Europe. And so we are preparing to sharpen our tools. And we have been sharpening our tools, preparing to do more ceremony work with the hopes of having access to the dark tunnels, into the dark places.
Wow.
We are prepared to do that. We have the tools to be able to do these kinds of things at the energetic level. We are waiting, we are expecting, and I'm feeling positive about that moment that will come, that we will have access to some of those dark places beneath the mansions and the holes in the ground, and taking a large contingency of the Huna to go and purify. Of course, as you've been sharing, the material, the matter of the physical, of the blood and the bone has been getting cleared out of there. And of course, through the tools of the water and so on, and the military cleanup crew and the rescuers, let me say, and I shouldn't say cleanup crew, but it's kind of part of what this is about. And so we are looking forward to our moment to come in behind it and start closing these portals that access the second dimension, which is to many known as hell or underworld. We refer to as the second dimension. And so we have skills and tools to be able to do these things, because I know those access points are still open, because they are still doing ceremony to keep them open. And so my question is to you, is that a kind of mission that would you possibly go on physically with a team of let me say, Lemurian light beings, as we are, as the Huna are, to assist in some of these?
Yeah, I've actually done a little bit of that kind of thing in Teotihuacan area, right, that cleaning out some things in there from the same kind of thing. Netherlands is a huge thing. It's almost the entire country is a network of chambers and tunnels that go to actually almost all interconnected through Holland and Denmark as well. And that's currently the top of the dark, bloodlines of the cabal. And so the main area that is actually in Holland is, they call it the green room. It's like green crystal, but it's really slimy now due to all the things they do that go to what you call I call the underverse, to portals, to create portals to bring up beings that feed off of loosh, as well as human different physical things, like we all know what those are. The thing that sounds like Google Chrome, that kind of thing. So just yeah, exactly. So we have to use this 1984 kind of guarded speech now, because they control until they're finished being cleaned out, they control the YouTube stuff so that you can't say things so openly, but people understand what I'm saying. And so that is a massive, they've done the Hague or the Hague that way, a massive undertaking. It was incredibly bad. And then in Amsterdam, they have the Atlantic Wall, which is very, very massive. It's not just through Netherlands, but it goes, they built that, the Germans built that in World War II. And around Amsterdam, it creates, there's a whole bunch of chambers. There's one man that tells the story of what he, was forced to go through along with a whole bunch of other people, but he had to leave Netherlands to save his life because they were after him because he was talking about what they did to him as a child in those areas. So they do on certain holidays, like their highest holiday is Beltane, one of their highest holidays. So they do rituals, sacrifice type things where they create what they call 1,000 points of light to ring around and center that energy in the center of the city, where they have a chamber under there.
Right. So we have the Huna in throughout those areas you're speaking of, and they are versed in the Lemurian tools. And we have Lemurian tools with us to transmute and raise higher the frequencies of these Stargate, these portals. My expertise is in the Stargates and portals, what I do for the Mortu grid, what is known as the Mortu grid. Now, I will be arriving in near The Hague in a town. I'm going to a little town called Monster. It's right by the beach, just south of The Hague. Setting up a new office for the House of Huna there, a physical presence, physical office, where the Hunas will be doing our mapping and navigation of the grid of these tunnels. Recently, we had a meeting conference with the Hunas, and they are versed in all the locations that you share about. These people that are from the Netherlands who are now Huna are light workers and energy portal workers. I shouldn't say workers, I refer to them as navigators. But they are ready and willing to do this. They're very excited to do this. And so I have teams of the Huna around the world, basically. So far, there's Hunas in 29 countries, but we're building the teams and have been doing this for a number of years, getting them ready. In the UK, Ireland, the United States, Egypt, Africa, Australia, New Zealand, where I'm from, throughout the third Lemuria, which is Indonesia, and Thailand and Mongolia. I'm getting ready to go to Mongolia in early September, and also in Russia. Basically, the way we look at this planet is that Gaia has now ascended. Those who are connected to the energy, I'm sure, understand this. What is Gaia ascended? For the last 65 million years, Gaia has been transitioning back and forth with feminine to masculine energy coming to the divine union, as you may know. Through that process, all manner of wrong and right, and what is right and what is wrong, as you know, has to have taken place for this elevation to come to the point where we are now. And so we, the Huna, share this planet's name, and the name we share is now known as Matia. And Matia is a Lemurian language which means a planet of new light. Ma meaning first light, Tia meaning the new earth, or new earth, new planet. So planet of new light, which is an energy. We speak energy, vibration, frequency, magnetics. We don't speak a language. We not necessarily. As we're moving the 12 tribes back to the 5 root races, and the 5 back into 2, and the divine union back into 1, we are going to speak back into the one language, which is of the civilization of Lemuria. So we work with this language to recognize, as through the vibration, energy, frequency, and the magnetics, is to recognize from once when it was Papatuanuku, the one land, and how it broke into 12 continents. So we're working on 12 continents on this earth, not necessarily 8 or 9. We see Africa, we work with Africa as Africa is 3 continents in 1. We work with all of Europe as Europe is 5 continents in 1. And so on and so forth. That's how we get to. Now, on an energetic level, this is understood and known and confirmed on an energetic level, right? So what we bring to the work we're doing to bring to the dark places, it's not a judgment of wrong or right, of course. The feelings are tremendous, as you know. The emotions are tremendous on the magnetic level, is huge. And so as we approach this from the Lemurian undistorted light approach, the undistorted light. There is distorted light and there is undistorted light. Example, Atlantis being distorted light, Lemuria being undistorted light at a moment before confusion, many hundreds of millions of years before Atlantis. And so as we journey to this back and work with these modalities and these codes of Lemuria, Lemuria not being a race of people, Lemuria is a civilization and it's on many planets and in many universes. It's part of nature. So as we work with nature in the super intelligent operating systems of nature, which we refer to as OS5, Lemuria OS5, which means the age of Lemuria 5, in which we are in now. This is the right timing, the right relationship between heaven and earth, the universe and the planet. This is the right timing. And so the Hunas in the Netherlands and all over are being versed in these modalities, being prepared, having been prepared and ready and willing to go and do this. So we approach all of this work from a position of let's say, approach this love, really. We approach this love because there is joy for many of us that are going to do these things in our humanitarian projects that we have. That we invite, that I make sure that I invite as many as I can to partake in and be a part of this particular movement, this next particular movement of moving energy, vibration, frequency, and the magnetics. We are very versed in stargates and portals. This is one of the things that I'm very versed at doing, and I travel the world activating the new birth sign grid for the child of light, which is a 48 stargate configuration, 48 stargates. 17 have been done to this day. I have done 17. 17 was the stargate that I know you're familiar with the number 17. This was very important. This was done on March 8, 2021 at the closure of the Mayan calendar. The absolute closure, the absolute end of the Mayan calendar was March 8, 2021. And the Stargate processing that was Stargate number 17 in Lake Titicaca, where I had to go. Myself and 2 other Huna went to do this work. So as I'm sharing these pieces and these tidbits about Lemuria and where they may resonate with you or with others you may know, where it resonates within what you are sharing and what perhaps you would like to do, or if you have a knowing of it, or I wasn't sure. I wanted to invite you here to share these things with you.
Yes, actually, I do have awareness of that. I've already been down in the Lake Titicaca area and did work with the gate there, and realigned and did the crystal chambers and things in that area throughout Peru. And reactivated that and did a realignment and cleaned that previously. This is about 3 or 4 years ago, I think, and did a lot of energy work there.
Yes, I mean, as I share the number 17, right at that moment, and I share mostly about the stargates I'm going to be working on, and I give the number for it, the mathematic and the geometric number for it. 17 right in alignment with Q, right in alignment with now Costa Rica just released a new banknote, which has the hummingbird on it. Now, in the Lemurian language, hummingbird is spoken as tirani, tirani, which means the tiny voice from heaven. Not necessarily the colibri, but tirani. Now, all of South America is represented as a continent, which is the continent of the tirani. Of course, colibri is well known there. We bring it directly into the birth sign. So this is the Lemurian birth sign, the tirani. And so when the Stargate came to the understanding of the location, it is the Stargate of the hummingbird, the tiny voice of heaven. We share the story also, but also in the numerology and the timing of it. Number 17 was confirmed, which speaks to the work you have been doing, certainly with the crystalline grid, and then the work being done to raise the frequency to higher frequency of Lemuria into the angelic codes and higher frequency for the angelic code, to help bring about what your intentions were, to energize your intention. So what the Huna do, what intentions are put out there, and I guess what we all do in a way, is to energize the highest intentions being brought about by many, being spoken of, and those certainly going to do the physical work. And so as I share about Lemuria, if you're aware, began 600 million years ago for this planet in the location of where Hawaii is. I am not sure if you're aware of that.
Yes.
Okay. Now, at that time, this was known as Mo'au, which is a mountain. Mo'au means the mountain of the world, spoken of as the first mountain recognized as the 12 continents were about to be born, right? So New Zealand was a part of that mountain. And so when I share anything about Lemuria, I'm coming from that civilization. There were 4 Lemurian civilizations spread out over 300 to 400 million years. Example, Ireland being roughly 300 million years ago. The Western Europe, or part of Europe actually. So Europe. We refer to Europe as the second Lemuria, the second age of Lemuria. Now these all line up with the names that were given for the planet at the time, and even known now. Tara, first Earth, first Lemuria. Maya, which is pronounced Maia, which is M-A-I-A, Maia, meaning the journey to first light, Maia. The second Earth, or second Lemuria, that's Europe, boom. And then third Lemuria, which was known to us as the planet spoken of as Sophia. Okay. Then came Gaia, fourth Lemuria, the fourth civilization of Lemuria, the ascension of the feminine and the masculine in this arrangement, this negotiation, with Gaia being the age of fourth Lemuria, also coming to the end of it through, as people share and are familiar with the Gregorian zodiacs, the Roman zodiacs, the Greek, and all of these zodiacs, which are, as you know, those codes are Archon and Anunnaki coding, those stargates, those codings, right? Did you know that? Sirius, Orion, all these names are low vibration, war, times of war. They are from Gaia, from the moment of these moments of our transition and our negotiating. Let me say negotiating, not saying wrong or right, just negotiating. And so now here we are going from Gaia. Now we are at Matia since March 8th, 2021, after Stargate 17. Certainly from the work you've been doing, from the work everybody's been doing on Gaia to bring that negotiation to a point where we are now at mass divinity of masculine and feminine, the divine union. We are at these codes right now. And so as I share this transition group, and maybe you are aligned to these things too, but speaking from Gregoria, from Gaia, the operating system for the last 5,000 years, with the Gregorian, the Roman, the Adam calendar, and these things, these modalities, these operating systems, and these codes that became distorted light codes. They became confused, and they brought confusion, more confusion. And of course, we understand that to be on purpose and manipulated for the agendas, of course. We are familiar with. We have lesson of already, and having had it from the other Earths, the early versions of Earth. And so as we are transitioning out of the Gregorian, I have been bringing forth the Lemurian calendar to many, and it's now on the fridge of many families and many homes right now. And it's accelerating, being accepted, the Lemurian calendar. Now, talking about right relationships and the tools we use that we're going to take with us into the dark places, we use with the modalities, based upon the operating systems of Lemuria. So we do away with all the Gregorian codes, and all the ceremonies are being reversed through the Lemurian system. Your intentions supported also, of course, as you know. So when we speak to the Lemurian calendar, we are operating from what we call first light. The planet, the sun doesn't rise, neither does the moon, as you know. This planet spins counterclockwise. And the first time zone on the planet, as you know, is from New Zealand. We call this first light. This used to be called the Maori calendar, of course, because the Maori live there. And where first light begins, first light touches down at a place we speak of known as Te Nako o Te Waka. Te Nako o Te Waka means the back of the canoe. Right at the back of the canoe, and the light comes forth. So from a distance, way in the back in the darkness, the light comes forth. That's the expression. Te Waka o Te Nako o Te Waka. The South Island being the canoe of Maui, being the starship, being the location. Right down there in the bluff, maybe you know the geology. So that light, the light zone touches down there, first fractal of light, the atomic level that touches the first fractal of soil, let me say, or grain, right? Let me say crystal grain. It touches there, then the planet spins and brings the light all the way through the 24 light zones. This is where we begin. The calendar of Lemuria starts at this location, which means it's in wintertime, which puts it in June. So the Lemurian calendar starts in June, okay? And it starts from that first light zone, goes around, but it travels counterclockwise. This puts the Lemurian calendar in a natural cycle, just a very natural, nothing forced. This is not forced at all. This is super intelligence of nature and Lemuria. It puts the operating system 6 months ahead, or that distance beyond the reach of Gregoria and the Romans, and that January start point. So at the same time, you have the June start point for Lemuria, and you have the January start point for the Gregorian or the Roman calendar, for the what do we say, the calendar that traps time and traps energy. Okay, because the Gregorian sends energy down the natural cycle counterclockwise, but they send the clock in time and the illusion of it clockwise. So it does this split, that it splits time and energy and then pulls it back in again, pushing energy back inside to the system. So there's this loop trap time. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. Perhaps you are. And so the Lemurian, as it's moving, it takes time with it also, or light time, the light zones. And so all energy is open to infinite light time when we calculate time by light and distance. Of course, this is on the planet. This is also in alignment with the universe, but as we are working here on the planet and we are doing our negotiations and our navigations here, this is how we work with the Lemurian calendar. We utilize some of the similar names that the Romans put in there: June, July, August, September, you know, the wishy-washy. Let me just call the month over my, let me name the month my name, Augustus, and all of these names that don't really exist, but to do the bidding of the coding for the incarnated ones, as you know. So we take those months and we split those names of June, July, August into half. We cut them in half. We pull the energy from out of those language codes and utilize the energy to the maximum higher vibration, thereby reversing the energy, reversing the agenda of the codes, simply by integrating and taking in that which is aligned to nature in this way. And so all modalities that we're working with are aligned this way to reverse that things that do not serve. And we work with these modalities, taking to the dark places. And of course, with over 4 decades of work on this planet doing this kind of work, as you well know, and you do too also. And so if this resonates with you, if there's something in there that maybe you have a question about, or perhaps will support you in what you're doing.
Actually, the calendar I work with that I actually originated about 15 years ago, I think, is equalized so that you have 13 months of 28 days each. As you know, with the Gregorian, they start it in the middle of nothing. I mean, in the middle of the winter, in the case of the hemisphere we're in up here, actually down here, because the map that they show is distorted too, to
Yes.
capture. Yeah, so the equator is moved to not the middle. If you go look in like a college or something where you see a ceiling to floor map, the equator is 1/3 up from the floor, which the whole hemisphere on the lower part of the map, which is actually upside down too. If you reorient, the Earth is actually not only tilted 23 degrees, it's actually way more than that. It's actually upside down ways, which creates the backwards counter rotation. And
Yes.
the entire Milky Way does the same thing. If you compare Milky Way to the other galaxies that are not fallen, when Tara was taken down, the Milky Way came into being through the hole that was where Tara was, along with other fallen systems that created the Milky Way. That's why when you look at Andromeda, it's rotating clockwise. All the non-falling galaxies rotate clockwise, and they're all parallel in stacks of a total of 5 stack. And there's the fallen ones are tilted at 55 degrees, counter rotating. It's what I call inversion matrix, where through the technologies known as the iometron, they lock the Merkabah fields so that the top half and the bottom half, the top half should be rotating clockwise. The bottom half should be rotating counterclockwise, but now they're both gridlock going counterclockwise, which collapses the energy, so, and it doesn't torque on the singularity at the center. With the counter rotations at the top going one way and the other way, there's a singularity at the center of the Merkabah field of the planet that it torques and it creates the accretion disk that becomes the matter and energy as it comes out. But if you're only going counterclockwise, then you're on a system that has to feed on other energy to continue, because it can't pull from the singularity anymore or source. And so then it distorts the entire thing. So I did create this calendar to realign and everything being equal, because a big part of the Gregorian coding is to confuse humanity so that they don't know the time of anything. Because if you have a month that's sometimes 28 or 29, and then others are 30 and 31, there's no kind of stable cycle to that. It's like it's all over the place. I mean, but instead, if you have 28, 28, 28, 20, the month always starts on the same day of the week. and
Exactly.
it all lines up perfectly. And then you have one day out of the year that is a sacred day in which you rejuvenate the planet and yourself. So it makes a calendar of 364 perfectly, and then
Absolutely.
they all intermesh. And so, that's the type of the alignments. I'm already aware of that too. If you want, I could also show you when we were in Peru. After we did our work, it was completely overcast where we were, but when we did the final activation, then the sky opened up of just around the sun, and the gate opened. If you want, I can show you the picture of the gate opening.
Uh, it's not at this time, but it'd be great to just email it, because I also know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah. Oh, the 28-day. Yeah, absolutely. We can look at that later. But to share on the 28-day. Now, I'm about to release the 28-day Lemurian calendar. I have been working on it, the transitioning from those who have the version of the Lemurian calendar right now, which is on their fridge and on their kitchen wall. The society needs to transition to the 28th day. In the Mayan calendar, it's kind of wishy-washy. It talks about 0 days and days drop out, the loss of days. Now, as I understand it, and I've been working on it this week to get ready to release it into my course, and then bring it out for consumption to be purchased. So the 28 days exactly, and the 13th month is derived by, in my understanding, is derived by the days lost inside, that drop inside the shoulder season, inside the energies that drop between seasons. So there's never been an accurate timing of what day it's going to be spring or what day it's going to be summer, and these things. It's always been wishy-washy. There's an approximate. But in my understanding, the transition between seasons is just roughly 7 days. And I'll put it at 7 days times 4. That gives us the 13th month. Now that month, we speak of it in Lemuria as 12 around 1, not necessarily 13, although, mathematically 13. But we speak to that 1 month as a crystal month. This is expansion and contraction of energy through the crystals that are aligned to that. Let me share that. From Gaia, we went from the dragon energy and the whale's tail energy between the seasons, also the lion and the lamb, as you know these stories. You're coming out and as a lion, and you're going out as a lamb, or you're going to go out as a lion, coming as a lamb. In Matia, as I begin to understand this and get clarity more, so we can deliver this transition for society and bring this precise calendar, as you are aware of, I'm sharing it from the perspective that 13th month is a crystalline month. So there are crystal energies fluxing, expanding, contracting with the rotation of the planet, or the rotation of the season, certainly, at the very least, to give us that 13th month, the 12 around 1. 12 around 1 meaning 12 birth signs around the source being that 13th month being a representation of the crystal Christ light. Yeah. And so I'm about to release that here in the Navigator's intensive courses that I have, and for purchase on my website. People have been purchasing the Lemurian calendar from me for the past 3 years when I released it. It's been going really, they love it. They love their birth signs. They're switching from the zodiacs to the birth signs of truth instead of the zodiacs of myth. And this 28-day calendar is now going to move into this next transition and help those who are really just are awake, as you are. And as you know, you see many awakening now. I don't tell anybody to wake up. I just wake them up. I don't tell you to wake up or yell at you to wake up, because you don't know how to. Not saying that you don't know, you just don't remember. And we know that there's a lot of this happening. So my efforts are to just wake you up. I'm not going to ask you to tell you to wake up, or just wake you up. And so this 28-day calendar is about to come out this way, as you have had yours put together. We are making this transition. We're all aligned on this. We're all aligned on this. And you know, the counterclockwise energy, what we used to say for the planet spinning counterclockwise, hemisphere in one direction, both different directions, simply by sharing that up is down and down is up. Up is down, down is up. When you fall, the challenge is to fall up. If we can speak to that expression as energy, vibration, frequency, and magnetics, to fall up, you're not falling down, because down is up and up is down, right? And so things get a little topsy-turvy. So I always say up is down, down is up. If you're falling up, meaning you're elevating, your energy is elevating your frequency and your vibration, yeah? And so it seems we're right in sync with this. Is some of the curiosities I had with you. One other question I have, Tim, is this is a time of revealing, right? Is it not? Do you agree? Revealing on multiple dimensions, on all levels, yeah? Physical and non-physical. I have a question for many who are not showing their faces on the screen. Is that something you're getting ready to do? Like there are some others too that don't show their face on the screen. I understand why. But as we are in this age now of vibration, energy, frequency, and magnetics, the challenge to be at the highest level for yourself. I mean, you are. There's no doubt you are, you know, the way you share. Is that something that you're going to do soon?
Probably once the cabal is dealt with and either realigned or recycled at that time. But a big part of the reason I don't is that I know already a lot of people follow me from platform to platform, and I want it to be about the message and not about me. That the information I bring is what's important, and who I am, or you know, my face or that. I don't want people to lock into that and to then get to the point where I become more important than the message of information. The information is what really is important, and who a certain individual is, if we go into that and then we look at letters and designations, that this is the cabal way of, like, you have PhD or, you know, doctor or whatever. All of this is just a trick to that authority is truth. But authority is not truth. Truth is authority. So it's, again, what is down and what is up. It's just like when they say the Arctic is the North Pole. Not really, because if you take the pole of a compass, the positive pole of a compass, opposites attract magnetically, points towards the Arctic. That means that's the negative pole of the Earth, or the South Pole. And Antarctica, which is actually the positive pole, is the North Pole. So that's why you can see it's actually completely upside down. And what, like you said, what is down is up and up is down. And so, you know, for me, as the energy ascends to the fifth density, which I call Aurora, or yep. Earth, you call Matea. It's just the bringing back the true light and alignment of both the feminine and the masculine now serving each other instead of one being forced to serve the other. They are in service and alignment in their own unique way. And then everything is connected and integrated evenly that way, where it's not one forced to worship the other, but they both recognize the beauty of each other and work in harmony and unison. And so that the masculine, then, you know, being the main power strength, is to protect the feminine. And then the feminine is to manifest life onto the earth. And so is the authority and the physical level. And through that truth, then you have a harmony of giving and receiving, of protecting and nurturing, and bringing forth the ideas and the thoughts from the masculine, giving it to the feminine to manifest in a way combined instead of one in subservience to the other. And so it's this alignment of learning to respect both the masculine and the feminine, and to realize what is really up and what is really down. Just like with gravity, we've been taught that it's a pull, but actually gravity is a push, because a particle wave does, like you're in the ocean and you're like, if you're surfing, I used to surf when I was in Hawaii and also in San Diego, and the wave doesn't hit you and pull on you. It pushes you. You're not on the surfboard being pulled, you're being pushed. And a particle wave, which is what gravity is from the breaking of the bond of the nucleus of an atom, is a gravitational wave, and that wave pushes us, it goes outwards. And so again, it's this inversion matrix of thought of what is down is up and up is down, and we're looking from the inside out, and it's getting people to reorientate and realign, and all of that. So yeah, pretty much different words, but we're saying the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from the Maori culture, so I speak Maori. As you know, we were the only ones that were never colonized by the British. That's why we have the Waitangi Treaty. It became a stalemate. They couldn't beat us physically. That stumped everybody, because we're Lemurian, right? And so their languaging of their understanding of Admiralty law and all of that stuff was out the window with us, because we, Maori, and let me just say, if you don't know the meaning of Maori, it means children of innocence, literally, or children of heaven. This means you're Maori too. So as I come from this premise in the languaging, it's very important, the languaging. Though it's letters, it's not just letters, it's the sound. It's the sound. It's what I work with when I do a lot of expansionist quantum work with people in the physical and non-physical, the other work I do as a healer, as a shaman, or as a huna. Now, being Maori, we are already multi-dimensional, just being Maori. We speak to it in this language through Maori, Polynesian language, but the Polynesian language at a deeper level is Lemurian. So we speak a contemporary version of the Lemurian language. Often many academics and universities for the last 2,000 years have said, oh, those guys don't even know what they speak. They have a language that no one else speaks. But why? Well, because we're not Polynesian, Polynesian is something that somebody wanted to say that we are, because our whole culture is about the womb. So in other words, and to share about the celestial womb and the terrestrial womb is to speak of the kopanui, which means the womb. And we are well versed in the matriarch and the patriarch. We are well versed. Our culture is centered around that, and always has been, right? So there's this languaging thing that does have to. It has to also, I'm right. Okay, so I was booted out of school when I was young, yeah, but I was initiated at the mystery school when I was young too. I woke up at age 7. I'm fast accelerating to 60, and I'm still young, but I'm also got a lot more things to do. So I'm fortunate for this frame that I had, right? And so being Maori supports the wisdom and the knowledge of the memory, what we call the Wairua Tapu. Wairua Tapu means the eternal memory. It's our spirituality, if you'd like to say. But through the Wairua Tapu, which is ancestral potentiality, memory of the potentiality and the historic brought into the one. As we share this information and knowledge of Lemuria and these things of what I'm sharing here, and similarly with yourself. Of course, you're Lemurian, you're Maori. More than anything, than you may be in this lifetime now, you are Maori, and so is everybody else. They just don't remember. And so bringing Lemuria back the way you are, we are reminding, we are not just telling people to wake up, we are waking them up. And so as I share this in the Māori way, through our language, right? Again, the British tried to stop us. We stopped them right back in their tracks. 500 years of battling with these people, with these Anunnaki, these Archon, these draconian families. We know who they are. We always knew who they were. We didn't need to find out now to know who they are. My ancestors knew who they were, knew who they are for the last 5,000 years, and a lot longer than that. And so when the waters are coming in, the tide's coming in, it's pushing. And when it's receding, it's pulling. This is Lemuria, right? The tides recede. When the tides recede, okay, you'll find the fish flapping around on the sand. And that fish is what we have the compassion, why we have compassion for those who, when the tides recede and the truth is revealed, it reveals that the child of innocence is flapping around on the sand in the mud. What do we do when the tides recede? Do we pick them up and eat them? Yeah, we do sometimes. Or do we send them back to the water to continue on how they are so long as they do not breach the codes of aloha or the codes of aroha. Those laws of the universe of the codes of aroha are very, of course, as you know, we have compassion and we will hold anyone in the darkness until the light comes to them or from within them. We have compassion for them. So when the tide recedes and pulls back, pulls the wool from your eyes, let me say, you see the fish flapping around in the mud down there. What do? We pick them up. Right? And we hold them. We clean them off. It might try to bite us, such is the way of things, you know. And we give it back, or do we send it to the ground in bones, and we partake of its energy, and we give honor to it, and thank and recognize that is also who we are, and who we were, who we have been, you know. And so, as I share in the Māori way, in the languaging, which is the closest language to Lemuria, of one of the 5 root race languages, it has a very, very positive effect, especially for those who are seeking now. They're seeking, they're looking. They are awake, certainly part of them are awake. They get a little bit of what we call pikoru in the eyes right now, and they're waking up. Oh, hey, there's Huna Flash. Now, I'm Huna Flash. That's my nickname. My light name as a Huna is Mauta Kumara Taki, which means let there be light. And it speaks to what kind of light, what particular light, which is lightning. Taki means flash of light. And so, though I've become popular for the things I was asked to share, and I kept saying for many years, no, I don't want to share. I'm not going to share, not at all. I don't want to share anything. Then I was prompted even more to share when I was laid out for 33 days in the deserts of Nevada many years ago in a little trailer in 115 degrees. I had to upgrade my tools and begin to share. So I finally said, yes, okay, fine, I'll share. Now, I know what it's like to come out and start sharing. I've been attacked many times in the last 30 years. So when people hear that you and I might be having a chat, I mean, you're already a rock star, Gene. You're already like, hey, people know, and they love the picture of your dog. That's already who you are. They already go for your guidance on this, Gene. Many things. Of course, I followed you because of curiosity. I really like this guy, and so whether you want to or not, you're already a rock star, brother. And people love you. And I talk to Mel Kaya quite often. We share the contacts, Mel and many others, Jaco and Jay Campbell and just many others. And everybody has the greatest respect for you, but you're already a bit of a rock star. Do we get to see you on the stage? I do hope we get to see you on that bright light. Yeah, of course. It's not you. It's not what you're about. It's not what, as you're sharing, it's not what you do, but that's fine. Yeah, we see you. We see you We see you like that, brother. We are seen this way. And it's not to take advantage of your popularity. No one's saying that. But it's your guidance that really does matter here. I mean, for me, I kept saying no 20 years ago. I was saying, no, I don't want to do it, don't want to do it. Then, all right, fine. I'm going like this, but I'm saying no, no, no. And I'm saying, yes, yes. So I've taken all my modalities that I learned, that I've been shared since I'm young, the ceremonies of a shaman and of a Maori technology, to begin to share that and then upgrade those as well, go deeper in and begin to bring those things out, which I've been doing. And I feel for both of us and for all of us, it's been a great benefit to the planet and what we share, as you know. If we come to this next level of the revealing, I was spoken of in another energy field. I am Maui's brother. Maui was my brother. Maui as the deity or the atua, as people speak of, but simply Maui was an energy light being, which is of my family. Myself being an elder of that family. Okay, so we've been asked to share. So as a Maori, as an elder in my community, and who I am in the bloodline of the Navigators line from my tribe. My tribe is Ngāti Rangi Nui and Ngāti Kahununu. That's my two tribes, merging tribes of my masculine and feminine side of my mother and father. And the canoe that represents my tribe is the Takitimu canoe, which is the eldest canoe of the Hawaiian people and the Polynesians. It's one of the most well-known canoes, Takitimu, ancient, very ancient. And so that's my lineage. So I'm bound to share, of course. Though I say no, I would connect you to these understandings as well, because again, you though you might be there in mountain daylight time, and you might be an American in this lifetime, I will say you are Maori, all are Maori, all. And the Maori way is to share. The way of the Huna is to remind everyone and to share, and then of course the legitimacy does have an impact when we are out there in the open. Of course, technology today is really helping. Not to push it any longer, Gene, but I'm just saying you're really a rock star. Are you familiar with? Do you have a familiar with particular modalities? Like, I work with certain crystals. The one that is the most powerful that I know of is known as the Kotahara. Spoken of as the Kotahara. It's known as the primary star, another way. This particular star crystal comes from the comet that created the Gulf of Mexico. From that comet, and that comet was a weapon, by the way, it was not natural. That was a weapon during the wars of the Lemuria IV. Before Atlantis was created, there was no Gulf of Mexico. It wasn't until after. That, over the millions of years, that comet had shared its elements and its density and its crystals. And those crystals that come off that comet, they come out and they arrive into only one location on the planet, is where the Huna gather these crystals to work with. It is not known, the languaging is Kotahara. If I was to say, it's a very high frequency version of the quartz crystal, which is, there's codes anchored into it from the Council of the Seven. If you're familiar with the Council of the Seven, maybe, you know, may have heard of it, or the Council of the 21. They call them the Seven Elders or the 21, Council of the 21, which input codes that were input into that comet as part of the weapon, very high frequency. So I work with the Kotahara. I have them here with me, and I gift them to the Hunas. And so utilizing the Kotahara, our ceremonies and our coding and our our footing, the footprint of the ceremony in the geometrical formation, is working with the primary, working in that what we call the primary. This on my chest there, you can see it. That's the, as we refer to, the fractal or the primary, the base root. It's the root of all geometry, of the building blocks of life. So all my ceremonies that are gathered up through that are put together, planned, and give them these themes and these names so we can gather with them, based around the infinite fractal, of the ceremony of the infinite fractal. In terms of protocols and ceremonies, I refer to one of these protocols that we refer to as a white cutter. And the white cutter refers to the light that protects the water. The light that protects the water. Are there similarly modalities that that you're able to share that you do? Are you still there, Gene, or did we freeze?
Yeah, I think you buffered there a minute. You said there's similar modalities, and after that, you kind of locked up.
Oh yeah, I was just asking if you have similar protocols and ceremonies that you do, or programming.
Yeah, when I do healing work, the crystal I work is a type of quartz crystal that's purple. And this is sometimes I use this, but mostly just the energies of the area, realigning things, and from area to area to connect everything back together. Like you were mentioning earlier, and in the Latin, where English came out of, they use a lot of tricks with words to confuse people. So, I say the latent or, hidden, like admiralty, means to add to mire to add to the mire all of us into the mud of confusion. So this is the way that they do. And so is to remove that mud, like you were saying, when the waters are going out, to pick it up and wash it off, and send it back in one way or another, and to realign. And so it's just through my own energy that I do the work mostly, because my instructor and my first martial arts instructor was in Hawaii. And he was a local Decode guy. So always we would go and grind after class and that like that. But I learned this from him, the real way. But I've been training in that for 44 years. So this is we call it people call it martial arts, but it's where your soul becomes the warrior, and you are aligned back into the original nature of where we all come from, before even the Milky Way, back when everything was in Andromeda, in Tara. And so it's to realign all of that back into the original system before the fall, and the fall of the cabal, as they say. So it's this play of words that I want to get through and expose the truth, so that people cannot be confused about what's going on, and learn how to work within themselves, and to set things back into the natural order of everything. The darkness, the false darkness that came about, was because of again, those groups that you mentioned way back at the beginning, of the Orion groups, and those had taught the Tara the technique to cast out one's dark side, to create the original demonics, because our dark side is part of who we are.
Yes.
It's not who we serve, but it serves us. That when you get off and you do things that's not appropriate to others, then you get bad feelings. You feel guilty or ashamed of yourself. And that's getting you back unified in service to all things, and not just yourself. But in casting out that dark side through dark magic that they did, then that dark being now has nothing to serve but the darkness. So the, like the shadow, it doesn't, serve itself. It's being cast by the light. And so that, in service to the light and the truth, and, and to realign everything so that everything's, completely unified as a whole again, and everything is back in, to understand who we are. Like a lot of medicine men or shaman, they, in especially in Tibetan times and things and other cultures, they want to cast the ego out, or to not have the ego, to get rid of the ego. But the ego is the epigenetic overlay, or what is that, not judges, but filters between what's in your highest interest and highest interest of all life and what's not. And it's supposed to be doing that function, but it's not supposed to be who you are. Just like your brain's not who you are, your body is not who you are. It's your eternal, self, or your soul, if you want to use that word, that's the true who you are. And so to learn to put the ego back as like the filter on the car, it's important, because without the oil filter, then the engine's going to burn up because it's not getting all the dirt, debris out. But it's not the purpose of the car to get the oil filter around town. So realize the filter has importance to filter and give you information. Say, yes, that's a good idea. Let's do that. No, this is not a good idea for us. And we're not going to use that. We'll filter that out. So that's the whole point. And so it's to realign all these things from way back more than 650 billion years ago, when the Milky Way came into being. Before that time.
Yes, of course, referring to that as first light, and it's so much more. And absolutely, I love the analogy of the oil filter, or perhaps an air filter, for our breathing, our sacred voice, our voice to be sacred. I always invited many to come to a lower percentage of ego rather than full on 99.9% ego. It's just pretty hard on everybody. but at 60%, 50%, we're doing pretty good. We can still create. We can still work. We can work with you. We can at least like you. Yeah, I always say that, we only need to like each other at the very least, just like each other. As you know, when we like each other, we'll start doing things together. But when it gets really thick and mucky in that filter, in that ego is causing that. Absolutely. I often share that percentage to be lower. And in terms of the martial arts, in our language, we speak this word powata, as a convergence of mind and body is powata, which means the slow rising pillar. And in terms of its action, it has all manner of energy there behind it. As a slow rising pillar, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be slow. All right, you're methodical and detailed in this perspective. So powata can replace martial arts. We don't fight. We don't need to fight. Simply rise. And so those are great analogies that you share. In Hawaii, of course, I spent many family members, of course. I spent some time with the kahunas there, retracing Lemuria for them. Of course, they all speak about Maunga Kea and Mongolua, Whareatara, as the mountains. I share with them, and I've gone and done workshops with them because there's some memory loss there. To share the origins of Maui, where the fractal or the six-pointed star is located, is actually located on Maui. And Maui was at the top of the mountain. And that mountain in our memory is 33 miles high. And at the top of that mountain, where we as beings, before in light beings, we are creating all manner of technology from there. And I went to Maui several years ago to share with the kahunas where the six-pointed star is positioned in Hawaii, and it's on Maui. And I share with them that was the top of the mountain. Maunga Kea, Maungaloa, which means the long mountain, and Maunga Kea, which is Maunga Tea, which means the mountain of the new world, and then also Haleakala, which means the house of the rising sun, Whareatara. These were born later. When the mountain came down, then they were formed. But Maui still holds the six-pointed star, the primary, the base primary of the energetic, is still held there in Maui. And I showed everybody where, took them through these places, and then shared with them in the workshop the origins of our martial arts, the origins of the Powata through the haka. If you're familiar with the haka, you'll know that the New Zealand rugby team forms the haka, has for 200 years, almost 200 years, to thousands and millions of people. So our culture deriving from that knowledge and the wisdom of the time of Maui, when Maui was at the top of the mountain, certainly we were light beings there. Certainly it's a lot older than that. We're in the hundreds of billions of years. Okay, and I speak to this moment where I can translate it to some people here on the ground, where they're making this transition for Matea. There's some questions that are kind of popping out. Here, I just got to kind of scroll back. If anybody does have some direct questions, is that okay to take one or two, do you think, Gene?
Sure.
There's some comments on the YouTube. I don't know if you're able to see the YouTube channel, but there are a lot of comments. There's 200 people watching right now, and there's a lot of comments. Let's see, is there any direct question? Oh, there's a question about. I'll share a bit about this. I don't know if you can see him. This staff of mine. This staff.
The head of a horse? Is that a horse or a seahorse?
It's a dragon.
Oh, dragon, okay.
Dragon head. It has tons of night stone and clear quartz. It's actually ground up and mixed together with another crystal. Then it was formed. This entire staff, this is called Tani Maro, referred to as Tani Maro. Tani Maro means the long white dragon. And this entire staff is coated and covered in crystal, in the paint. It's the crystal that I work with, that's the Kotahara. Kotahara means the crystal of the dream time. Of course, in the dream time, we can be at any moment, anywhere, everywhere. So this dragon, someone asked a question about the dragon. And so this is Tani Maro, and this is a fully crystallized staff. It's very powerful. We are very busy, he and I, all over the world. Let me just see. Does anybody here have a question directly? I scroll all the way back for you. Go back too far. Oh, somebody asked, Gene, are you feeling better?
Yeah, I'm mostly healed. I'm healing up from, the cabal has been dusting the earth with the trails that compose a lot of AI, big Morgellons, and I was suffering very badly from that. The hard part now is sleeping at night because they come awake at night and really savage on the body at that time. So I'm getting on top of it. This is my 4th day of fasting to clean out and to remove the fuel for them, and then also do zeolite, which is able to take the heavy metals out of the body that they thrive on that and are built from that. So I'm doing the zeolite, and then the first thing I do when I get up is zeolite, and I do some homemade quinine from boiling the grapefruit, some rice, and then after that I drink a mud mix of zeolite and diatomaceous earth, bakelite clay, and activated charcoal, and then I drink 2 quarts of salt water. so that you clean out your entire digestive tract. It's interesting, this morning when I got up, it's my fourth day I haven't eaten, but I still have debris coming. I'm like, where's it coming from? Obviously from them. Right? So they're just dying and destroying. But at night, there's still some pain. And so like the night before last, I slept finally, like I had 6 hours straight, but last night I only had 4 hours, so it's a bit tired still. So probably
Oh,
have to take a nap, because they like a lot of things that dwell in the darkness. That's when their time of power is, so that they come up and it makes it very difficult to sleep. But getting mostly better. Still dealing a little bit with it, but most of the destruction on my body, when they come out, the fibers come out of your skin, and it ate up all around my whole neck was one complete scab, all the
wow.
way my whole front of my chest, my shoulders, and my back area. And that's all peeling now, because I got mostly under control everything. And so now, as I finish this last day of cleansing, then tomorrow I'll start reestablishing the flora and fauna with the probiotic, so that then my body's immune system, when I eat, very healthy foods, uh, organic and all that, that my body can get the nutrition to bring my immune system up to do the finishing job on them. So that, because this AI is not, my choice, or, for those that choose it, yeah, but for me, no, I don't choose to be human 2.0.
Oh,
Yeah, I want to be the way I'm created, which is human 100%, and not like part machine, part nanotech, all this kind of nano dust and Magellan fibers that come out through your skin and all this. My body rejects that. That's why I have an outbreak. Everybody has it in it. So, you can see if you take a tart cherry juice concentrate and you swish it in your mouth for 10 minutes, and then you spit it out in a white cup, and you take 3 or 4 drops of like vodka or Everclear, uh, and you can see them swim away from that, because they don't like the alcohol. And
yikes.
so everybody has this, but some people's bodies refuse to allow it to integrate, and they cast it out, so it causes huge outbreaks. So I had the worst attack I have, because a lot of things combined at the same time to cause it to go way off the chart. So, I spent quite a few days, almost, I lost track of day and time. I was in so much pain, without my martial arts training, I wouldn't have made it through it, where was just literally, it feels like, because the fibers are actually like little tiny microscopic nano size. On one end, they have what looks like a barb or a fish hook, like your staff. It's barbed on the end, so that when it comes out of your body, it yanks and it makes a sore. It comes out, it's very painful. And so that created all the sores all over the upper part of my body that scab up now, and it's healing. But it's when it's coming out, it was so painful, because usually it's only on one side, because they feed off your energy of your mind and your nervous system. So they ride on one side of the body. Normally, this is the first time I had it on both sides simultaneously. So it was very horrendous. It got to the point I couldn't even like remember words. I couldn't hardly,
Mm.
I had to like go up the stairs with my hands and my feet. Otherwise, I would fall up the stairs. So finally, I was talking to God and said, demand your energy. I gave it to you, not to them. Demand it back. So I started doing push-ups and sit-ups, and then that got me to where I could do. But yeah, I'm getting better thanks to so many people. I know so many people were giving prayers to help heal me from all over the world. So thanks to all the people doing that helped me get my health to where I can remarshal my own energies back.
We're certainly grateful for you, and there's so many here in the comments, live comments, sending you best wishes and hugs, and uh, wishing you well. Also sending their remedies, sending out their remedies.
I
Many
send
here
that
are,
back to them, because I'm so privileged to be able to help so many people. It's such an honor. So, I wanted to thank everybody for that, and, give them blessings, because I really appreciate that.
We thank you, and they're so excited to be here in this call with us. Somebody had asked, I think someone had asked about with the new light codes coming through, key major new moons and solar eclipses, etc. How has this impacted your energetic work of clearing the dark places?
Yeah, so as you probably know, and NASA actually has shown it, they have pictures from the International Space Station of the fifth density Earth in orbit behind this one. It's out of cycle. The time, like when it's day on one side of the same side of the Earth, it's night on that side. So,
Right.
and then there's two, the sun is different. So there's actually, and I've shown pictures of that before, that when we were doing work in Bali, we climbed
Yeah,
the sacred
sure.
volcano. Yeah. And we got just my wife's iPhone, no,
Right.
no high-end tech or anything.
Oh,
We
no.
got a picture of both third density and fifth density sun. So you can see the yellow one rising, that's the third density for
Absolutely.
everybody else. For us, the sun had rose many hours ago. It's way up in the sky, it's bright white. And so this is, as you would say, the Matea sun, or for me, the Aurora sun, fifth density sun rising. And so that new energy coming in that's already formed and already there, the sun is also transitioned. The whole solar system's in this transition, not just Earth, but all of the 11 planets of this system. And then additionally, the sun itself is already done the transition to the Matea, or the Aurora, the fifth density. And so now with the new energies, when I work, often a lot of times, as you can see on top of that sacred volcano that we climb, we did two different ones that I work with this energy. So then her camera on her iPhone picked that up because I was up there working, and there were steam vents that while we were not over with the crowd, we were working with the steam coming up out of the volcano from the steam vents. So we're right over the vents. And then I turned and I said, oh, their sun's coming up. And you can see their long shadow from the sun still coming up for them. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. That's, I didn't realize I was so, at that moment, so rooted hard in both fifth density and third density working at simultaneously. Because when I'm focused, I'm not really paying attention to like mundane affairs so much as I'm working with the energies of the steam and the earth and the light and the codes and all, like you were saying. So yeah, it's a primary thing I do is when I do the work is to work with all the density combining at the same time to organize everything as a homogeneous whole now, instead of a broken apart kind of upside down, right side up at this kind of deal.
Absolutely. I was in Bali doing activation for the Stargate, September 2000, the year before last. Now it's almost 2 years, 2019. I was in Bali on that same mountain. I was activating Stargate number 15, spoken of as the door of the child. And I had a group. I took a group of 18 of us. We all went to Bali. We went to, and then we also went to a place with the statue of Danu. The statue of Danu. I don't know if you managed to catch that one. It's a brand new statue and temple created with a huge golden dragon, and also the goddess Danu is also part of the Balinese culture. Danu is also Irish. And so I was there doing that ceremony in September 2019, and activating Stargate number 15, known as the Door of the Child. And protocols I use, I work with the trinary system, the trinary star system. I also work with those codings of the trinary star system, which are 3 suns. So when I saw your photo, and I just smiled, that's amazing. Because I know that there's the 2 that you had, but I also know that we have direct access beyond the cycle. We have direct access to the central sun too now, and those energies directly through this planet. So it's not necessarily needing of a cycle or following a cycle. Now we have direct access. And so when you showed those two photos, I'm like, hey, and I couldn't remember what the timing was when you took that, when your wife took the photo. But I did share a little bit about it because of your photo, and it was just amazing to get that confirmation.
It's
Although,
actually almost a year exactly before when you were there.
ah,
So it was September of 2018.
2018, September. Oh, okay. So, okay, this is very interesting. So you were there September 18, on the mountain at the door of the child.
Yeah.
On November, on the 11/11/11, I was at the Temple Mount in Jerusalem with 54 Huna, doing the ceremonies and protocols. We call them drop ceremonies around the Temple Mount, and 54 of us stood in the circle, three circles at the mount, at the Wailing Wall. So right after you had shared that, when you were doing your work, we were also in sync with that on the 11/11/11 in Jerusalem. And it's so much amazing things are taking place, and I know I connected to the
Yeah.
door of the child.
Yeah, it's interesting that how that lines up and syncs like that. Additionally, how we wound up at the temple you were talking about. We wound up there. We had a driver that was driving us around, and we told him we wanted to go to this temple. And then it was very almost identical to an older temple. That was the one we were thinking we wanted to go to. And then the driver's driving like so long, like across the whole island. I'm like, goodness, I didn't think it's this far away. And we got to this new temple. I'm like, this isn't where I thought we were. But yeah, I know that that's how it works, is that you're not accidentally there. So he said, well, we can go there another day. Now it's too late, because it took all day to get here. And I go, I was wondering why it took all day to get here, because of what I had told you is very close. So I was wondering why it took so long, So, but we got out and we did the work there, because they were just opening that at that time, and it was all being built and still very, very, new. And they're putting up the statues and the different things. So we did the work there that day. And he
Wow.
said, so you still want to go there? And I go, yeah, it's not accidental. I mean, it wasn't what I had planned, but a lot of life happens when your plans, what you planned, you thought you were going to do isn't what you're doing. I know that, that's the God or source, or, the creator of all things leading me. Okay, here I am. So this I'm supposed to do here. So yeah, we actually went there too. Prior to going up the volcano, we went there and we did work there too. So it was really interesting. And it's a beautiful drive. I mean, you can overlook and you see the whole harbors laid out and the mountains around you. And, it was very beautiful. And then on the way back, we stopped at a couple other temple, and we were doing work and cleansing the thing, because they do kind of things with children late in the midnight time frame there. So we're cleaning it up, and some unsavory characters. With most people, I guess they see people, but my wife's is like, this guy, like this lady's got a mouth that's so it's like big huge lips that could literally take a quart jar in it. So it's like everybody else sees a human. I go, yeah, apparently, because if they saw what we saw, they would be going, what the heck is that? So we did work there, and when the driver caught on at that point, and he's like, so you're here. And so he was like, so I want to ask you some questions about certain places where children go missing that we're driving. And I said, so tell me where it is. And even when we're driving, I said, it's here, right? Because I saw their symbols that they use of the Cabal symbol. And he said, yeah, how'd you know? I go, because that's their symbols there for that they use. And I goes, oh, what does it mean? So I was telling him what, this symbol means this, and this symbol means that. And he's like, he was really entranced. And it was also interesting on the first volcano when we climbed it, they took out the dome that's underneath that airport. So we were on the mountain, and I can hear it coming, the earthquake, from the explosion that they did under the airport there. And I go, you might want to get up against a tree. He goes, why? I go, earthquake. And then the whole mountain started rippling and waves going through. We're on this really narrow ridge, and he's getting all like afraid. I go, just relax. It's not going to get any bigger than this. It's going to be okay. But, just hold on to the tree and just let it go by. And then you could hear it leaving, going across the distance. And he was just like, you're so calm. I go, well, because you can hear the sighs, so there's nothing to worry about. And I already knew it's coming, and I, knew that they were going to be doing the work to clean that out under the airport there. So that's part of, our work here is they're working there to clean things up. And so it was all simultaneous and integrated. And it was interesting too, climbing that volcano. As the guardian for that, because no person had stepped up, was a dog. A little dog followed us from the bottom of all the way to the top. And it was a good thing too, because the guide, he didn't really pay attention, and we're going through the jungle. And it's sometimes it's so grown, like 12, 15, 20 feet high, and he's way ahead because he knows the path and he's not paying attention to where we are. I'm like, where did he go? And the dog would come back, follow me, Gene, this way. I was like, okay, thank you. I was like, can you help me? Where do we go? But he was kind of freaked out because coming down, he slipped and fell about 3 or 4 times.
Oh,
I did not. It had very wet. It had been raining, and it was slick and muddy. And and he's like, "You're the most fit guy in his 60s I've ever seen. How do you like?" My dad is like, is not even as old as you, can't do this. And I go, well, I try to keep somewhat in shape, keep going, do so I can do the work I have to do. But he's, how come you don't fall? I go, because if you learn to stand upright and walk right, then you will be in balance. But if you're leaning, when you walk, you're either leaning forward or you're leaning back, so that if you slip, you're already off balance. So you're back. The only thing keeping you in balance is your feet being solid under, on the ground. But if your feet become unsolid because you're already forward or backwards, you're going to fall forwards or backwards.
right.
If you're not straight up. So he was like, how do you know? I just studied long years, of learning how to stand up and how to walk, and because they don't teach you that anymore. Those things used to be taught from the day you were born. Once you learn to walk, then they would show you how to walk appropriately with a soft foot, like you see the catwalk, where the ball of the foot comes down first instead of the heel, so you're not pogo sticking down the road. You walk smooth and soft and quiet.
Boy, I had some real issues walking when I was up in Bolivia, Lake Titicaca, where we were into La Paz. Boy, that was a little rough on me because I purposely don't drink a lot of water. I do that on purpose. Why I do this is so that I tune into the energies and allow my body to gauge the uncomfortable, or either uncomfortable, just to gauge the energies coming in. And at 13,000 feet, my kidneys were getting crushed, getting squeezed and shrunken because I hadn't been taking much of the water. So taking the leaf tea, the coca tea, and that's fine. But and talk about learning how to walk again. Oh my gosh, like one step at a time, walking up this tiny hill. Like, oh my God, I feel like I'm getting crushed from the inside and squeezed at that level, at that height. But it was a lesson, of course. To slow down and take this and see these details. We often do this in Powhatan anyway, and in the Haka, and in our culture, we're taught to tuck a hay or walk and step a certain way, walk through the forest sideways instead of full on, straight on. We go through sideways, which mimics a certain bird, and the pukeko bird, which is a parrot type of bird in New Zealand. He walks through the forest, the thick forest, sideways, and you can move very quickly that way. And of course, and so just as we're going to do our work, and it was one detail that the Bindi master would always share with me. He said, Huna, just make sure you're in good shape when you go and do your work. You know, you're going to go up mountains and things. I said, well, yeah, of course. And so we oftentimes, you know, forget that just the daily life, you know, walking around in our Nikes and our Adidas shoes and things. When we get to these, when you're ready to do your missions, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Huna and harmonized, when you go in to do your mission, when you're doing this kind of work, it's very important to start training and get ready for these things. Yeah, we do the best we can, but that's an important detail. Okay, I think we're pretty well. I would like to just complete our call here. Gene, I know you have better things to do, like relaxing and getting and feeling better. So honored and grateful to have this chat with you. I would like to leave you with just this information as we complete here that though I live in Playa del Carmen, and I love it here because of where the equator energy is here, as you know, I have set up my Halal LLC incorporation in Roswell, New Mexico, and I'm setting up my headquarters in Roswell, New Mexico. And one reason is because that's where Stargate number 1 is located. It's located in the region close to Corona, New Mexico. The field is much larger. Of course, it goes up to the Sangre de Cristo mountain range where the blood of the Christ mountains are, comes all the way down into Roswell, at the very least, to runway number 17 at Roswell Airport. So I've set up the corporation there in Roswell. I'll be setting up a major office complex, and then also my School of Light and the Temple of Light, which will be near the mountain. Red Cloud Mountain is near Corona. I'll be setting up that health center there out in the nature by the mountain. So over this coming year, certainly, as we're coming through our projects and our humanitarian projects and all of these wonderful light beings and navigators like yourself and everybody, look forward to connecting to you in the months and the years to come, as I'll be located there. My company will be located there in the States. I will, however, be living on Cozumel Island. I'm moving to the island of the goddess, but it's only a 2-hour flight from Cozumel to Roswell, so I can be in and out for work and things. And the House of Huna, all the Hunas around the world, we're forming a council. We are bringing the new council online, which is on the ground, which is known as the Council of the Continuum. And the Council of the Continuum consists of 144 aligned Hunas. Huna simply means one in the many, many in the one. So those who are aligned will be forming this council on the ground, which is in alignment to the Celestial Council of the Continuum, which, as you know, that deals with creation aspects, not necessarily the drama and these certain items that other councils compete and deal with. And so I'll be putting full presence again into there's a lot of Hunas in the United States, large populations in the thousands, actually. I'm into the thousands of those who have become Hunas over the last 25 years. There are thousands now. So we're getting to prepare ourselves through this, the reset and the reevaluation. As you know, I've been involved in that for 7 years, aligned directly with the Marcos family of the Philippines. I'm directly connected to them and the Lemurian dragon family. The heir to the Red Dragon family is a woman, and she has been sealed, and she is a Huna too. And this is Ferdinando Marcos's daughter. It was a son, which was my cousin. Right, he was half Maori and half Filipino on a Maldives side, but he was, as you know, the cabal, as you know, what they went through to clear out their councils there. And so, from all of what happened back 7 years ago, we didn't even have a system back then. As you know, there was a lot assassinations happening, a lot of transitions happening to finally even get a transaction account to happen for the reset. now that we have the system that's there now in place, as transactions are going to take place and exchanges are going to take place, we are preparing, and I am preparing. I can speak to what I'm doing with the House of Huna worldwide. I will have a stronger presence, physical presence in the United States, and certainly look forward to meeting you one day as we do more of the clean out. Certainly after when you're comfortable to do that. And so I just want to thank all of those who are visiting us here on the call. There are so many from all over the world, from Scotland and Ireland, United States, Canada, so many, Australia, New Zealand, the United States, all different states over the United States. There are many Huna visiting here, and we thank the Huna for being here, and certainly the harmonized. When I speak to the harmonized, those who are becoming to align to what you have been sharing, what I have been sharing, so grateful for that. I would be happy to send also the link for this video to you. Perhaps we can send it in a file. We can talk about that. And if there's anything else you'd like to share before we go, I want to thank you.
It's interesting you mentioned Roswell, because last year we already went and did work down in that area. So to fix the energies coming out of the Sangre de Cristo, or the Blood of Christ mountains there that run down through that part of Colorado, and cleaning out some things there. So that's interesting that you mentioned that. It's just kind of coincidence with that we already worked in that area. So it's interesting to see how I seem to lead you by 1 year. When I'm doing one thing, you're there doing somewhere else, but then a year later you're at that location. So it's very interesting.
Well, I was there many years ago at the Hummingbird Ranch, actually in 2013.
Oh, I know where this is, yeah.
Yeah, that ranch belongs to, as you know, Makasha Ross and Catherine, and they were the founders of Live Aid in 1984, along with Rob Geldof and those guys. So he owns the ranch, the Hummingbird Ranch, which was very interesting. That was my first decision to say, yes, okay, I'll share. And at that gathering, 24 shamans from all over America came, including the paramount chief of the Apache Nation. And this is Bear Paul, and he was in his 70s back then. And so I have a very close relationship with the Native American people over the last 40 years of working with them. And certainly when I met him, he called me when they found out that I was going to come and share. I get a call from him, and he said, brother, he tells me who he is, and he says, I'm coming to your gathering, and I want to be sealed by you. And I went, wow, that's an honor. Fantastic. Didn't have to convince him, nothing. He calls me, says, I'm coming to your gathering at the Sangreal, at that mountain, because that's our home. It's part of our lands. I said, yes, because I shared with them I was going to activate the Stargate there, the door of the child Stargate. There's 3 doors, or 3 Stargates. One is frequency of the child of light. The other is the frequency of the angelic door, the angelic frequency, which is in the west. And in the east is the frequency of the he, which is the door of fire. I work with these 3 Stargates configurations and 1 mountain. They are on certain locations spread across the lands, and they are to do with the new birthing system for the frequencies of the child of light. It's not entered yet, as you know, but is going to. There's more to share on this, but that's when I was in that area many years ago to actually start. Now, why I say Roswell is because I know the Stargate started calling me back there. And that Stargate that's connected there is connected to the crew constellation of the Southern Cross, the blood of the Christ star, right? And that mountain and the Southern Cross in the crew constellation. It called me back there last year to prepare. So I had been sharing with the Hunas that I'm coming back to Roswell. I've already set up a new mailing address that I have there already. Now I have the incorporation. I have the storage unit and things being set up there, and I have a ceremony to take place there in September, this coming September. And so share more about these things. But absolutely, we have been on the same trajectory. That's why I shared, and I shared with you, oh, you're Maori. You know, you're not American, you're Maori, you're a child of heaven. We all are. Of course, we can enjoy our flag and recognize the flag that you have. Let me just say, if you are, as you are Maori, then you are of the Lemurian civilization on many worlds, not just this one. And so I say these things, I'm proud of it, of course, obviously, and I'm honored to meet you here and connect with you. And so absolutely, really appreciate the work you're sharing, the physical locations of that needs to be known and that you're sharing with everybody. As you're sharing these, we are able to prepare for missions to go into the dark places, and as you know, close the connections to the dark, to the second dimension, set the frequency higher, so that only beings of higher intentions can come through. I guess that's it for now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Huna and harmonized alike. Thank you so much, Jean. I will be happy to keep following along, and I wish you well for your healing and your expansion, your continued expansion. As we know, from expansion comes healing. The focus is not healing, the focus is expansion. And what that brings, well, you know what it feels like. So if you'd like the last word, that'd be great.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me. It's great getting to know you and talk with you. And God bless, and thank you for having me.
God bless you, brother. We'll see you. Take care.